campus diner was alive with its usual midday energy. The smell of greasy fries, the laughter of students squeezed into red leather booths, the clatter of trays and soda fizzing in paper cups. To most, it was a place to unwind after class, but to Ava, the new girl, it felt like a spotlight on her back. She had been at the university for less than a week, and already whispers followed her through the halls. Who's she? Where'd she come from? Why doesn't she talk much? She moved quietly, head lowered, carrying a tray with only a sandwich and water, as if not wanting to draw attention. But the silence surrounding her wasn't weakness. It was patience, a storm waiting for the right moment. The diner door slammed open and 3 boys swaggered in, loud and arrogant. Everyone knew them. Jake, the self-proclaimed leader with a cruel smile, Ryan, the loudmouth who always wanted an audience, and Marcus, bigger than both, a walking wall who laughed at everything violent. They spotted Ava instantly. New faces were like prey to them. The diner buzz dimmed as students exchanged worried glances, but no one dared interfere. Everyone knew how these boys operated. They'd test you, break you down, and humiliate you until you either transferred or lived in constant fear. Jake nudged Ryan, eyes fixed on Ava. Fresh meat, he muttered with a smirk. Ryan snickered, already planning the jokes he'd throw. Marcus cracked his knuckles, ready for whatever cruelty might unfold. The 3 boys prowled over to her booth, towering like shadows swallowing her light. Ava didn't flinch. She simply took a slow sip of her water, her sleeve brushing against the edge of the table. No one could see what was hidden beneath it, yet. Well, Jake started, his voice dripping arrogance. New girl thinks she can just sit here all alone. Didn't anyone tell you this is our spot? His hand slammed against the table, making her sandwich jump. Ryan cackled loudly, drawing attention. Students shifted uncomfortably, pretending not to watch, though every eye was on them. Ava's gaze rose, calm but piercing. For a second, Jake faltered. There was something in her eyes, not fear, not nervousness, but something colder. Then she lowered them again, saying nothing. Oh, she's shy? Ryan jeered, leaning in closer. Don't worry, we'll make her talk. He reached out and flicked her water bottle, spilling drops onto her sandwich. Marcus laughed, deep and booming, enjoying the show. Still, Ava didn't move. Her stillness wasn't weakness, it was a test. Jake leaned closer, inches from her face. You think you're too good to talk to us? Ha! His hand shot out, grabbing her wrist. That's when it happened. His fingers brushed against fabric, tugging her sleeve back just slightly, and then he froze. Ink, black bold, etched with precision and fury, a tattoo wrapped around her form, coiling like a living serpent. But it wasn't just art, it was combat ink. The kind soldiers wore when they earned it. The kind fighters branded themselves with after blood, sweat, and victory. It wasn't decorative, it was declaration. Jake's smirk flickered, but he forced a laugh. Nice drawing, sweetheart. What are you, someone a badass? But his voice carried a tiny crack, betraying unease. Ryan leaned over, squinting. That's not just a tattoo, man. That's military grade. I've seen it online. Special forces type stuff. His voice wavered. Marcus's laughter faded into silence. Ava finally spoke, her voice low but sharp, slicing through the air. You should move your hand. Now? The diner went dead quiet. Even the friars seemed to hush. Jake sneered, trying to cover his nerves. Or what? He challenged, squeezing tighter. But deep down, he felt the tension in her muscles. Controlled, coiled, ready to strike like a panther. She wasn't trembling. She wasn't begging. She was calculating. For the first time, the boys weren't sure they had picked the right target. Students at nearby tables exchanged quick glances. Whispers began. Some pulled out their phones, sensing that something extraordinary was about to erupt. Ava slowly lifted her other hand, brushing back her sleeve fully this time. The diner gasped collectively. The tattoo was larger than anyone realized, etched with symbols that weren't just military. They were combat certifications, markers known only to those who had earned them in brutal training. Ryan muttered under his breath, "No way, that's a combat tattoo. She's trained." Ava's eyes met his, steady and cold. "You're right," she said. "And you're about 5 seconds from regretting every move you've made." Her words weren't loud, but they carried the weight of truth. A dangerous truth. Jake pulled back slightly, but pride wouldn't let him retreat. He laughed again, louder, forcing bravado. "You think some ink scares me? You're just a girl." And that's when Ava tilted her head, a faint smile tugging at her lips, not of amusement, but of warning. This tattoo doesn't speak to scare you. It speaks to promise you what comes next. The diner erupted with murmurs. Phones were recording now. Some students leaned forward, adrenaline pumping through the room. No one had ever seen someone stand up to Jake and his crew. No one had dared. But Ava wasn't just standing up, she was about to dismantle them. Jake clenched his fists, ready to strike, but Ryan hesitated. Marcus shifted uncomfortably. The confidence they carried into the diner now flickered like a weak flame against a hurricane. Something about that ink, that look in her eyes. It wasn't bluff. Ava slowly stood, pushing the table aside with effortless control. Her frame wasn't massive, but her posture radiated strength, balance, precision. Students whispered louder. Some gasped. Even before she moved, they felt it. She was a fighter, a real one, the kind who didn't need to prove herself with words. And for the first time, the three boys realized the predator had become the prey. The silence thickened. Jake clenched his jaw, trying to hold on to his bravado. "You think you're tough? Let's see what you've got." Ava's eyes locked on his. "No," she said calmly. "You're about to see what you don't." The diner held its breath. The tattoo glistened under the fluorescent lights, louder than any words could ever be. It was more than ink. It was a warning, a story carved into her skin. And as the boys stood there uncertain, one thing became clear. This wasn't going to end the way they thought.